What's going on, yo? Welcome back to basketball, and more importantly, welcome back to Ideal Offseason. This is a series where I put the GM cap on for a little bit and help a team navigate through their offseason. We try to keep this series as realistic as possible, meaning we take a look at each team individually and ask ourselves, okay, where do they need to be by the end of the offseason to, better position themselves for the future? If you're the Washington Wizards, you weren't a very good team this last year, but you got some interesting young guys and some vets, and you want to start improving, so we're going to help you do that. If you're the Lakers, you got Luka and LeBron. We're trying to help you win a championship, so that's what we do in the video. And today, we've got the Dallas Mavericks, the team that was the centerpiece of what was one of the most dramatic NBA seasons I have ever seen, and it's still going on. But in this video, we're going to do realistic trades, a mock draft, go through free agency, use realistic numbers and scenarios, all to try to better position Dallas for a better tomorrow. And hey, before we go ahead and do that, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment on my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. Ideal Offseason is here. You're watching one of these videos right now. Go watch the rest of them. It's by far and away the most popular series on my channel. I think it's a lot of fun and pretty entertaining, so go give them a watch. Also, my Do They Fit in the NBA video series is also going on right now. It's been really popular. Those videos get demonetized every single time, unfortunately, but I really enjoy doing them. It's fun to take you guys through the scouting process and crack a few jokes along the way. So go support them. But anyway, let's talk about the Mavericks. And that brings us back to the ideal offseason spreadsheet. For those of you that are new, I like to use spreadsheets to kind of help articulate and visualize the stories I'm trying to tell within these ideal offseason or other videos on my channel. You can get access to this spreadsheet if you want to. It's really simple. Go down into the description. You'll see a link to go join my Discord. If you go down and click that, get on the Discord, go to the announcements channel, and it'll be the first link there. You can download it. It's completely free. Post whatever you make with it. Have fun with it. I'm updating the sheet all the time. It's a really cool tool. But anyway, let's talk Dallas Mavericks. Mavericks fans, this has been a roller coaster unlike one I have ever seen in the basketball world. Like, this was insanity, right? Obviously, like, I'm not going to spend too much time on talking about this, right? Because we got more important things to talk about, but the Luka trade happened, right? It was possibly the dumbest trade in sports history that I had ever seen, and I don't think we want to forget about that ever. That really sucks. But the basketball gods have repaid you, despite the fact that Anthony Davis got hurt once you got him. Kyrie Irving got hurt at the end of the year. Somehow, with like a 2% chance, you guys squeaked out the #1 draft pick in one of the biggest draft classes in recent memory. Cooper Flagg is going to be a part of your team in some capacity. Spoiler alert for this video. Or who knows? Who else might I pick? Or are we going to trade the pick? We're going to take Cooper Flagg in this video. I don't want to like lead you guys astray or anything, but it's crazy, right? So now all of a sudden you went from, I don't know how I'm going to be able to root for this franchise for the next like 20 seasons to, okay, I'm back in. Like, we've got a pretty good basketball team. We got Cooper Flagg coming in. This is interesting. I will say, and we'll talk about Cooper more like later in the video, but it's not like a perfect situation. I mean, there's still a lot of turmoil around this team right now that needs to be solved, but one way to solve a lot of internal turmoil, from what I've found in my time in basketball, is just winning basketball games. If you start winning basketball games, good things tend to happen. So I'm very curious to see what we're able to pull off with this. But this team isn't without issues, so we've got to fix some of those in this video today. So we're going to be going over, in this first part, the current roster. We're going to talk about the salary cap, what kind of assets we're working with, and then just talk about goals for this video, strategy, all that kind of stuff. So let's start out with going through the roster right here. I don't need to spend a lot of time on these first couple players, but let me first start off by saying these numbers that you see right here are what's called EPM numbers. That's estimated plus minus. If you're not familiar with those, estimated plus minus is a way of giving a grade to, or a value to, any player in the NBA, both on offense, defense, and just overall as a player. It's a way to compare every single NBA player against each other, basically. It's a really, really advanced statistic. If you want to go read it more about it, you can find it on like Dunks and Threes. They're one of the people that post stats like that. And what I've done is index those numbers so that we can see a 1 to or a 0 to 100 score as to how good somebody is at something in comparison to the rest of the players in the NBA. So If you see a 0, that means they're the worst. If they're 100, they're the best, right? Now that's clear. I always like to say, too, with statistics, there is always things that statistics can't measure. I'm not one of those people that say analytics are never wrong. They're never wrong, but there's context within everything. And that's why you need somebody like AVC, who runs an analytics company, to come through and maybe provide extra context when necessary. Anyway, players on this team. Anthony Davis, you got him in the Luka trade. Anthony Davis is a phenomenal basketball player, despite the fact that he will sometimes roll around on the floor for like a whole quarter of a basketball game in seething pain. He'll come back. Don't worry. He's always back. And he figures it out. Awesome basketball player, right? Obviously great on both ends of the court. You can see the numbers here. They don't lie in this case. I promise you they don't. Don't need to explain him anymore. Kyrie Irving, he's got a player option this year. He's going to accept it because of the injury. It's unfortunate. We're not sure when he's going to be back. We'd like to think that he'll be back before the playoffs, but I'm not going to hold my breath over that, and that's going to be a big part of the game plan for this video, is we need to find his replacement, or at least like 50% of his replacement, right? Because, I mean, how do you replace Kyrie Irving? You just really don't. Last year of his deal, obviously the extension talks, who knows if that's going to happen this offseason or not. They're probably going to wait to see how he recovers. I don't need to explain to you, though, that Kyrie Irving's really good at basketball. We hope he has a speedy recovery. Klay Thompson is still on the team. He definitely struggled a little bit more in their system last year. Like, he was a good basketball player, don't get me wrong. Like, you got an efficient, like, a high teen scorer that respectfully wasn't playing bad defense the whole season. He was a little bit of a, okay, I'm a little bit old. It's the regular season. Like, I'm going to tune it down a little bit kind of player for a little bit there. But you saw the moments where he kicked it back up, which was, I guess, cool to see. But he's very much used to his Golden State style of basketball. You could tell, not this very, like, ISO approach that they took for most of the season. He definitely had some really great games at the end of the year, though. And Klay Thompson's a vital championship player that's he's nice to have on the team. PJ Washington, elite power forward, in my opinion. Well, elite depends on what you want to categorize it as, but on a very team-friendly deal, can do a lot for you in terms of versatility, really good defensive player, just maybe a guy that we don't need at this point on the team, right? Because we have to do something to figure out the point guard spot. He's a cool player, but we have a lot of other good bigs on this team. As much as we like PJ, we might not need him. Moving on to Daniel Gafford, another guy that I should say, like, 2 wins by Nico Harrison going and getting these guys. Nico Harrison's made a lot of great trades. He just also happened to make the worst trade I've ever seen, but it's okay. Daniel Gafford, really good at what he does. Run, jump, dunk, block shots. He's that type of center, right? Really good at that type of stuff. We love Daniel Gafford. Najee Marshall, a guy that picked it up after a pretty slow start to this last year. He's one of those guys that the Pelicans kind of found and developed and turned into a nice player. There were times where he was just it for the Mavericks, and he was doing it all for them. So nice 3-and-D wing that can put the ball on the floor a little bit too. We like Najee Marshall. He's on a great value contract. Caleb Martin, a guy that they traded Q Grimes for, which a lot of people were a little bit confused by, but I thought the trade made a lot of sense. While Q Grimes was maybe a better player than Caleb Martin, you wanted to go and get somebody on a very similar contract, but for a longer time, so that you could potentially use him as a trade piece long term, because they were probably trying to go get Durant in the offseason. I'm not sure if that's what we're going to do in this video or not, but it made a lot of business sense at the time for that move. Offensively, he wasn't having a very good year, but the Sixers were just such a mess. I'm not sure I can blame him. Defensively, he's still a nice basketball player. Max Christie is on the team. He had a really fun start when he first got to Dallas, kind of fell off a little bit there at the end. Possibly an odd man out in the rotation, just because, look, this is a deep basketball team, but a guy that's shown he can do a little bit of everything, plays with a lot of energy, and I'd like to think still has another level of potential he can get to. Jaden Hardy hasn't quite been able to figure it out, or wasn't able to really figure it out this last year, is a guy that should be able to come in and just kind of be like a Deuce McBride type player, where he's just coming in to just bring an offensive spark off the bench. He's a guy that I'd probably prefer to hang on to in this video, because despite his like rougher numbers last year, there was just a lot of turmoil on this team, and so we're trying to excuse it a little bit, just a little bit, not much. But look, we're desperate at kind of a point guard position, and he's a guy that can play it if needed, so I wouldn't mind hanging on to him if possible, but we'll see. We're not not positive about that one way or another. Derek Lively, awesome guy that they drafted a couple years back. He's got a team option. We're 100% accepting that. We all understand what Derek Lively does. I think the coolest thing last year was he came in after his rookie season and already such a huge step in the right direction. That gives me a lot of hope for this kid, that he was able to come in and be like, hey, you guys needed that short roll guy off of all these ice actions that you guys were getting in the playoffs last year. So you needed a big that can pick, short roll, and then put the ball on the floor a little bit and make the next right pass. Man, he was crushing it at that last year. I had an injury at one point, but man, he was awesome last year. You'll see 92nd to 93rd percentile overall in the NBA. Really, really cool. Dwight Powell, definitely past his prime. Loved Dwight Howell back in the day. Struggles to kind of move around the court at this point. Big fella. He's got a player option. He's almost certainly going to accept it. So we'll see what we can do. Maybe we'll move Dwight Powell somewhere else. Oliver Maxence Prosper. Young guy, right? But obviously a little bit older than other guys that are in there coming into their third season now. Hasn't quite been able to get anything going offensively in his career, but he's a lengthy, athletic guy that can play a bit of defense. We're going to accept it just because, look, we need cheap guys on this roster because we're going to have an expensive roster by the end of this video, so I need as many cheap guys as I can get. We'll see if he sticks around. And then we got Brandon Williams, a really interesting player. Now, this guy's fun. Like, you'll actually see, like, despite his salary and everything and kind of his maybe no-name status, you might not be familiar with Brandon Williams if you're not, like, basketball sicko or a Dallas Mavericks fan, but a guy that came in for them and really showed like he can do a lot for a team offensively. Like, he was putting the team on his back there for a little bit at different points, just getting up and down the court, hitting tough jump shots, getting a lot of lane penetration, being a pretty solid defender as well with some decent size, pretty damn quick. Like, he's on a non-guaranteed deal. I'm guaranteeing the hell out of his contract. I need Brandon Williams on this. Like Brandon Williams not going anywhere because I would much rather trade Jaden Hardy and give this guy a little bit more burn and see if we can't figure something else out at the point guard spot. But that's what we're working with for right now. Let's so we maintained all of those guys as far as options go. Let's go take a look at the salary cap numbers. If you're curious, the NBA has four different levels to its salary system. If you want an in-depth explanation, go watch my Phoenix Suns video, wherever the hell that is in here. It's somewhere in here. It's the first video in this series for this year, and it goes much more in depth onto what happens in all of these different levels. But here's your brief overview. Cap space in and of itself. When this number hits 0, which it has, means we've crossed it. Once you cross the cap line, it means you can only re-sign your own players for anything more than a minimum. So if we wanted to go sign somebody that wasn't on our team last year, we couldn't give them anything more than a minimum contract. Luxury tax. Now, this one we've crossed as well. That's why it's at 0. Once that happens, your team becomes way more expensive, right? And every year you're in it, it gets more and more and more expensive via consecutive seasons. And then we have the first and second apron. These are newer to the NBA. The NBA put these in place because they were sick of star players getting traded every single year all the time. And so this made it a lot harder to make moves in the NBA. And people are really struggling with making some of those trades at this point. It's forcing us to get really creative, which is cool, because what it does is when these numbers hit 0, the NBA starts to really lock down what you're able to do in terms of trades, free agents, other options that you have to add people to your team, especially once you get to the second apron. It basically hard caps you and says, nope, the only way you're going from here is down. Now that you're here, you better love this team because this is what you're stuck with, unless you want to just go backwards. So kind of a cool way to balance out the league. I think it's made the NBA playoffs way more entertaining and balanced this season. So I like it, and I think it adds more strategy to things. And then our draft pick situation, one that didn't look the prettiest. It's not the worst either, because again, this is a contending team. You don't expect them to have a ton of draft capital because you have to spend that to get to become a good team more often than not, unless you're the OKC Thunder. But obviously, got lucky. Got really, really lucky. Got the first pick. Nico Harrison was playing chess, not checkers, right? I'm not going to, I don't want to joke about that too much because, yes, extremely lucky. And by the way, just a little thing for the comment section today. I don't want to see any NBA is rigged type stuff unless it's a joke. If it's a joke, I'm cool with it. Make your jokes or whatever. I seriously encourage you to check yourself if you think the NBA is rigged, man. Do you guys know how much, legal stuff this is? The NBA is like a real business. And when you have lotteries for things in business, you have to regulate that so extremely. Like, I've gotten to see and hear about the lengths that they go to for this stuff to keep it not rigged. It is insane. Don't have the take of like, well, it's the entertainment industry. No, like, it's a real business entity. Yes, it's entertainment, but you can't do that type of stuff without having extreme legal ramifications behind it. So just know that, okay? Don't be a dum-dum, right? Take your tinfoil hat off and put it to the side. We can put our tinfoil hats on for other things, like why Nico Harrison traded Luka, and we can say it was because he wanted to build that casino in Vegas or whatever. Cool, I'm down to hear about that. But anyway, this is the Mavericks team. What do we have to do? What is the goal for this? Well, one, you'll see I've put Kyrie Irving down here in red just because I don't want to bank on it, right? You never know what happens with rehabs. It's not just a guarantee he comes back at a certain time. Rehabs have setbacks or whatever, which we hope that doesn't happen. Best case scenario, he comes back before the playoffs. We can try to ramp him up before the playoffs, right? But we got to find a point guard solution, right? Because we've got some really talented basketball players on this team. We've got the number 1 overall pick coming in to a pretty solid roster overall. Like, there's going to be a ton of people around him. He's not going to be the first guy in the scouting report any single night. That's great. Like, that's awesome for him. And I'd like to think that we should try to put the best team we can around him. We should be back in the playoffs next season and trying to contend. Like, that is the goal, is we're trying to contend year 1 with Cooper Flagg. So I got to find us a point guard somehow, and I'd probably like to acquire like another pick in this draft within like the 2nd round, and here's why. We need cheap guys to fill out the back half of our roster, and 2nd round draft picks are really, really good for doing that. We can give them like $1.1 million to just kind of take up a roster spot, right? Rather than going into free agency and hiring somebody for a veteran minimum, which is going to be like 2.8 and above, most likely. So that's what I'd like to do. Those are some of the goals that I have for this, and I've got a couple ideas in mind for who we could target at point guard, so I want to explore those. But anyway, let's move on to the trade portion of the video. Alrighty, and that brings us back here to Fanspo. Fanspo's a really cool website if you've never used it before. It's got a bunch of different tools, like for realistic like trade simulators, mock drafts, and a bunch of other like resources and stuff here. I'm not sponsored, I just think it's a cool website and I want to give praise to it. And so before we start talking trades and all this strategy and everything, did you just skip the last 15 to 16 minutes of this video? Guess what? You're a little hoe, and so is your mom. Go back and watch it. What are you doing? Go back and watch that. I watched the analytics, and I checked on my most recent videos. About 65% of you skipped the last like 15, 16 minutes. Now you're gonna have no context, and you're gonna go into the chat or the comments and be, EVC, why'd you do this? I can't believe it. Well, you missed out on all the strategy, you dum-dum. I'm sorry you can't pay attention for that long. And by the way, I've got some comments from people being like, I can't believe he just made fun of his audience like that. Oh my God, I'm not watching him anymore. Well, guess what, you pearl clutcher? Get the fuck out of here. It's not going to get any better than this. Anyway, so before we start making trades, we need to figure out how many roster spots we're actually like working with here. So we've got 2 roster spots open right now. One of them's going to Cooper Flagg, and we wanted to draft somebody else, right? The other thing we need to take a look at is our own free agents. Is there anybody here that we want to bring back? Well, Dwight Powell and Kyrie Irving we already talked about. Then we have Spencer Dinwiddie, Dante Exum, and Kai Jones, all guys that I would be interested in bringing back on any other team with any other situation, right? Spencer Dinwiddie could be a point guard solution for us short term. Not sure if he's really a guy we want to throw in there to be the starter right away next year. Dante Exum, I know he's played point guard in the past. It's not really where he's the best. We don't want him handling the ball too much. Kai Jones, really interesting young center who I've seen a lot of people be like, oh, the Mavericks really should prioritize having him, which I get it. The talent is extremely high with him. He also does have like some off the court things he's working towards, which it sounds like he's getting better and like we're rooting for him hardcore and that stuff, but it's not somebody like I need to bank on right now. But it's a guy I wouldn't mind bringing back. So I'm not going to say that we are bringing back any of these guys, but we'll explore it if we have the space later in the video. So basically, what we're saying right now is we kind of have to swap player for player. We don't want to send out like one player to get two back or anything, because we're trying to get a second round pick somewhere to get a cheap guy, and we need to draft somebody else as well. So we gotta make some moves. And we're doing point guard first. We're doing point guard, and there's three guys that I'm thinking about with this. The first one being Ty Jerome for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Ty Jerome, really good season. You can't actually see him on here because he's a free agent. The Cavaliers are gonna have to shed some salary this year, right? Like, they are victims of the second apron right now, and they're gonna have to shed some salary to get back to a reasonably priced team by next season. You have to assume Ty Jerome's going to go from anywhere from like 16 to like 22, 23 million based off how he played this last season. I'm personally not extremely high on Ty Jerome. Like, long term, yes, he did have a very good season. I'm not even just saying because he had some rough playoff performances. I just don't like people that are like, oh, did you see this one game he had? Like, oh wow, fair enough. I don't know, that seems really lazy to think about that way. But I don't know, there's something about his game that just doesn't scream like I can lead the team as the point guard to me, and I don't want to go into too much detail with it right now, but I do think he's an interesting option though because of what we did see this last year. So that's option numero uno. Next option for me is the Chicago Bulls and Coby White. Because when you look at this team right now, we could use some people that can really generate some offense, right? Coby White can generate some offense. We actually talked about him in the Golden State video, which hasn't even been posted yet, but I've recorded it already, and you guys would have seen it at the time of seeing this, hopefully. If not, go back and watch it. And I was like, Coby White won't fit on the Warriors because they run such a specific system. He's not good at doing that. The Dallas Mavericks, on the other hand, really don't. Their offensive system is much simpler because it was based around a Luka and Kyrie. They can just kind of make things happen type of thing. Coby White could fit pretty well here. He's not very expensive at all. We could make something happen with them. So that would be one that I'd be curious to see. My concern is the Bulls are not always the most logical franchise. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a sad Bulls fan. It is true. A lot of the moves they make don't make a ton of sense. And they seem to be, at least from the outside, being like, okay, Coby White and Buzelis and Giddey, that's our future right there. And it's like, whoa, what are you kind of talking about? Like, I don't know what the value is of keeping Coby White around like that long, but whatever. Coby White's a good basketball player, plays really well in offense, right? The other option, the Utah Jazz, they need to shake some things up after we slid in and took the number one pick from them, right? They could use some help and some different talent on this team in the way of some young guys. And they have a guy by the name of Colin Sexton who could play point guard for us. He is phenomenal offensively, not very good defensively, right? He gives a great effort on defense, but it never materializes into actual like good defense. It's pretty rough always. So another guy that can get some buckets. Coby White, not great defensively. Like, let's just pull up those three guys we mentioned so you can kind of see all of their numbers right here. So here's Ty Jerome right here, really high offensively, solid defensively, right? Definitely had the best season last year. Here's Coby White, not very great defensively, but pretty damn good offensively as well, right? These are upper 80 percentile players. This is great stuff, right? And then Colin Sexton, 91st percentile, even worse defensively. So just so you know, that's what we're kind of looking at. Colin Sexton a little bit more expensive, right? Ty Jerome, there's just a part of me that's not quite believing in it, right? And also we'd have to give him a longer contract, right? Like, we'd have to buy into him much longer. These two are only on 1-year deals. So that's where I kind of have to decide, like, what direction do I want to go with things. Where I'm leaning right now is the Chicago Bulls with Coby White. I think him as a short-term solution wouldn't be that bad, because let's just say Kyrie Irving comes back, right? And he's out there, he's doing Kyrie Irving things. Coby White shifts back to the bench or something like that, where he can just be super six-man, go get buckets. We don't really have another guy like that on this team, so that's not really the worst thing in the world, right, is to have a guy like that off your bench. I've always thought that's kind of where Coby White should end up anyway, and that's no, like, dig on him. That's a really valuable thing to have in the NBA, is that kind of combo scoring guard off the bench. It's kind of essential for a lot of playoff teams or contending teams. So I'd like to explore that one. And then if we want to, we could re-sign him after that, right? If we really like him and maybe something else doesn't happen to Kyrie Irving, he's a young guy that we can put on the team and see where we're going. But what do we need to make this happen is the question, because I think this all starts with like a PJ Washington, right? Like he feels like the kind of the odd man out on the team. Like we've got this awesome big man rotation, which we are very, very fortunate to have between Anthony Davis. Look, we're going to have Cooper Flagg, PJ Washington, Najee Marshall can kind of play down there. You got Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, in which I'd like to keep them both. I know there's going to be a lot of trade ideas for most likely Gafford, right? Which I'm down to hear. Like, I hope you guys know that in the comments. I'm down to hear that. But I'd like to keep both of them just because it's so rare to have that kind of dominance at center constantly. Not even to mention Anthony Davis as well. So I'd like to explore that. But I don't get why the Bulls necessarily want PJ Washington per se. I feel like they want younger guys and draft picks, right? So I already think we need to get a third team involved and ask ourselves, who could use PJ Washington? I look at a team like the Rockets. They've probably got other moves they want to make this year. The Lakers. I don't think these two teams necessarily should be picking up the phone for each other for at least a year or two. I'm not one of those people that are like, these two teams will never trade with each other, because that's just not an actual thing in the NBA. Now there is just like these are real people with real jobs. I think if Nico Harrison was to try to make a trade with the Lakers again right now, that wouldn't be great for his reputation currently. So I think he would avoid that. You look at the Warriors, that could be a team potentially. It's maybe not that position that they need, but it's interesting. The Thunder have a lot of assets, and they could actually really use a PJ Washington. So, and now you might be asking yourself, do you really want to help out the Thunder? Well, a lot of times I'll say, I guess what, bitches, I think I'm better, right? So let's just work through this, right? Because the Thunder have more draft picks than they know what the fuck to do with, right? They do not need all these draft picks, and they got to start using them, because otherwise teams are going to start using it against them to be like, look, you can't even draft any of these players. So let's explore this. PJ Washington sent his ass over to the Thunder. He's a perfect guy to complement Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren, right? They need a little bit more size at kind of that forward spot. There you go. That solves your problem. Who do the Bulls want back? And by the way, we're moving Kobe White over to here. We're moving him over to the Mavericks, which we're actually saving money in this move, which was awesome. I kind of figured originally, like, if we do a sign and trade for Jerome, we're going to get more expensive, but that actually makes us a little bit cheaper. So that's cool. Who do y'all want then? Who do y'all want? This feels like Ousmane Dieng. He's the stereotypical, like, you try to trade him right away in trades because you look on 2K and he's got like a 3-star value because he's a young guy. We haven't actually seen a ton of him in the NBA, but send his ass over to the Bulls. He can finally get some playing time. And then I think you also throw in like a Dylan Jones or something right here. A guy that OKC just doesn't actually need very much. Like, maybe it's Topic instead, but I don't know. It feels like Dylan Jones isn't really necessary. So you send him over to the Bulls as well. And I think they got to give up a little bit more, because Kobe White and PJ Washington, like, I know these are young guys that were recently first-round picks. He was a late first-round pick in one of the worst drafts I've seen in a long time, and Ousmane Dieng has hardly played in the NBA. Yes, he's got good players on his team, but we don't know anything about him. So I think what they do is they also send over this pick right here, and that's what I was expecting to see, the 24th pick. So this 24th pick right here, we send that over to the Bulls as well. They get a second first-round pick in a pretty good draft. This should work financially, shouldn't it? And it does. Cool. I like this. The Thunder take on a little bit more money. They get someone in PJ Washington that's going to help them right away. At the time of recording this, by the way, it's Saturday the 17th, so I don't know what happened between the Nuggets and Thunder in that series. I believe that game's on Sunday, so I don't know what's happened yet for context, but I like this deal. I think this benefits all the teams right here, so I can get behind this. So cool. So we no longer have PJ Washington. We now have Kobe White. So we save a little bit of money, which is great. We love that for us. I'm going to move Maxence Prosper up one spot here. Kyrie Irving's going to go down here. Brandon Williams is going to go. Do we want to say Brandon Williams is just the backup? You can order this however you want. I really don't give a shit. And then we throw Kobe White right here. And we've got our new point guard. Cool. We've saved some money. Now, I want to start working on how we get that second-round pick that we covet so much. And I'm wondering how we should do that, because I'm looking around this team. Who am I down with getting rid of, right? I'd like to hold on to Daniel Gafford if I could. I like Najee Marshall. And again, we don't necessarily need a ton of these wings. The odd one out might be like a Max Christie or Caleb Martin. I'm not positive. Caleb Martin would be great for a trade if like a star player became available, so that might be something we want to hold on to. Jaden Hardy, on the other hand, maybe not as much. He's on a cheap contract going forward. I wonder if we could package him with Dwight Powell and send them somewhere, right? Because let's think this through. I think about a team like the Nets, right, who kind of swung and missed this year on the draft lottery. They could use some young players just to come in from anywhere, right? Like that's what they could use. And I'm sure they would like to add it via trade, right? Just because, look, nobody's really coming to sign with them. They're probably going to look at guys like Kuminga. We already did a video on them, right? Where we talked about stuff like this. So they need to just start adding some young talent so this isn't just like a worthless season for them. They also have way too many draft picks for this year. They've got this 36th overall pick right here, which... Here's kind of what I'm thinking. Jaden Hardy, interesting young player. They could use someone to come in at the point guard spot. Well, guess what? You can have him. He's not very expensive, and he's 22 years old, really young. You can have him. You can have him. All I really want, because you're taking on this salary for me, is this 36th overall pick. And now Jaden Hardy's better than the 36th overall pick. So here's kind of what else I'm thinking. So we send this over here. I'm not going to ask for anything more, but I'm going to ask that you take on Dwight Powell as well. Just take on 1 year of Dwight Powell for me. That's all I ask of you. I don't think I'm asking too much because you get a young guy that's, again, cheap. You can try him out, see if you like him, right? Not a big deal, and you got to find some people to be excited about anyway. So this trade should work. Nice and simple. There you go. We save ourselves quite a bit of money. We got our second round pick. I think I'm cool with this, right? I think this makes sense for all parties. And just to be clear, these are two separate trades. This is just how Fanspo has to lay it out. So we've eliminated, sorry to put it that way, but Jaden Hardy, Dwight Powell, off the roster, right? We have now acquired, what pick is this actually? This is the Nets' second round pick. The Nets have 4 first round picks. They just don't need that pick, right? So 25 second, again, what number was this? It's pick number 36, so it's a pretty solid second round pick as well in a pretty good draft. We could get somebody interesting with that pick. If you wanted to argue that maybe a little bit more has to go into this, I could maybe see it. Maybe it's like an Oliver Maxence Prosper instead of Dwight Powell. I wouldn't trip about that. I really would. So make your arguments in the comments if you'd like to about that. I'm down to have the discussion. Okay. So this actually opened up more roster space than we even intended to, but that's okay because the guys we sent out and the salary that we sent out of $4 million and $6 million, we can get cheaper guys via free agency, and we actually fell below the luxury tax space, so this is good. We might just be able to avoid the first apron. It's going to be really close if we do. That'd be if we could pull that off. That'd be phenomenal. I think it's going to be hard, but I'd say, man, let's start getting ready for the draft. We've got some moves to make, and we didn't trade any of our firsts, which is great. So we've got a ton of guys now that we could package together with pretty solid contracts. So if the right guy becomes available, I don't know who that would be necessarily, but if the right like Devin Booker becomes available, we could slide him in somehow with like Cooper Flagg and Anthony Davis. It'd be crazy, right? So let's go to the draft and see what happens. Alrighty, so that brings us back here to the Fanspo mock draft, and we've got the first pick. So it's actually pretty exciting that we don't have to watch any of the like lottery spinning, or not the lottery spinning, but the simulation. It's just us right away. I'm looking forward to this. So, doing some thinking off camera, right? And you're looking at the roster and it's like, okay, how do we want to go about like this draft? We got these couple of draft picks. How do we want to go about things? And, looking through the players, and what I was kind of thinking is like, we could really solidify like the guard or the wing position with this, because at the top of the draft, there's some really, really elite talent, right? There's the VJ Edgecombs, the Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, Cooper Flagg. They're kind of in this category of their own, right? And there's even some people that would tell you like, oh, I like Dylan Harper the most in this. I think Ace Bailey has the highest ceiling of all of these people. Like VJ Edgecomb reminds me so much of Anthony Edwards, and I agree with all of that. And so what I'm kind of thinking is I'd like to add a little bit to the point guard spot. So what I think I'm actually going to do is take Kasparas Yakuchonis with the first overall pick. Nah, I gotcha. Let's start over. I'm sorry I did that to y'all. I'm so sorry. I wanted to mess with the Mavericks fans just a little bit, so I couldn't resist. Could you imagine they don't pick him? Could you imagine, like, look, let me just take him so that we don't have to worry about it. Just, there's Cooper Flagg. He's on your team now. Don't worry about it. I've been thinking about what I want to do for the thumbnail of this one too, just to see if there's any way I can like mess with y'all or something. But I don't know. It's funny. You guys got Cooper Flag. It's okay. It's okay. He's gonna be awesome. He's gonna be playing like the wing position for us. I'm thinking right away just because we have AD and Derek Lively, which I think is fine. Like I know he played the power forward in college. I think he could play both forward positions really well. Hell, throw him at the 2 if you really want to. So there's Cooper Flag. Let's go give him his money right away. Which, oh man, yeah, I forget how much money the first overall pick gets right away. Yeah, no, I don't think we're avoiding the first apron, and that's okay, right? We kind of expected to be here. So there's Cooper Flag. Let's throw him right here at this spot here. We got Najee coming in then, and then Caleb Martin. Man, this is a deep basketball team. There is a lot going on here, but coming back here, we've got the 36th pick in the draft. So where do we want to go next is the question. The guard spot wouldn't be the worst thing in the world considering what we kind of have at our disposal right now. Let me move Kyrie Irving up one spot here and just do this because, look, we've got 2 point guards on the roster right now. I wouldn't mind adding one more. By the way, for the next video, I'm hoping to start using like some different player kind of ratings to help simulate this mock draft maybe a little bit more accurately because this feels slightly outdated at this point, but you know, is what it is. So I wouldn't mind adding some sort of other guy that can handle the basketball here, maybe a guy with a few more years of experience, but I'm not seeing one right away, like a Miles Byard. I don't know how you actually say his name. Like I heard it said at the combine. I can't remember. I'm so bad with names. I'm so sorry. But is what it is. Is there any guard on here that catches my eye as to someone? Oh, like Marcus Sears. Like, yeah, that's the guy, right? That feels like an obvious one for us to go get. He feels like a mid to early second round dude potentially. Yes, he's small and he's probably going to struggle to play defense in some capacity, but he's a guy I trust with the basketball. He's hit some big shots in his time here. Let's just go get a more mature guy to round out kind of the rest of our bench. I say we add Mark Sears to the team. Alrighty, so we add Mr. Sears to the team, and this is why we wanted this second round pick, because we get this really cheap player now, which will help us stay away from the second apron just a little bit more. So we're going to give him one of these 4-year deals here, and we're going to move Kyrie Irving back down, and this is going to become Mark Sears. Cool. So we've at least got a bunch of point guards kind of on the roster, just in case something were to happen. We don't want to be point guardless, right? Cool. That's the draft right there. That's what we did. It was pretty simple, pretty straightforward, which is probably good for Mavericks fans, right? Like, let's just keep it simple. I'm so sorry I scared you. I feel bad. I don't feel bad at all. You guys are just people on the other sides of those screens that I've never met before. How could I possibly feel bad for you? But anyway, that was the draft. Nice, plain, easy, simple. Now we move on to free agency, and we start to ask ourselves the question, do we trade one of these other guys during the free agency period, like a Caleb Martin or like a Max Christie, in favor of trying to avoid the aprons entirely? Let's explore. Alrighty, so free agency. So yeah, this is the thought I just had, right? Like, this team's really deep. This team's really deep. Like, we've got a bunch of interesting options at point guard. Like, you might not be too familiar with Brandon Williams, but I feel like Dallas Mavericks fans would tell you, like, I'm pretty comfortable putting that guy in the basketball court, him with Kobe White. Sears, older guy. You've got a couple good options here, but you also have some guys that can play that position, and like a Najee Marshall, Caleb Martin, hell, Cooper Flag if you want to go really big at times, which would be kind of cool. You have Davis here, and you've got like this decent big man rotation here. Do you have too many guys kind of at this wing spot right here? Not quite the forward spot, but the wing spot, that are also pretty expensive. Could we redistribute that somehow? And here's kind of what I'm thinking. Can we go get somebody that's more of a forward, right? Maybe like a stretch forward in some way, that's a little bit cheaper than either like Max Christie, Caleb Martin, or Najee Marshall? Maybe we can get some sort of other asset to go along with it, because if we go and sign just 2 free agents, we're gonna go into the first apron, and I think it makes sense to try to avoid that if we can. So here's what I want to do. I was looking up Furphy so I could see some contract numbers for things. Is there somebody for around like $4 million that could be valuable for us to go get? Like Dalton Connect, actually, that'd be kind of interesting if we were to do some sort of trade like that. But Deuce McBride, no. Keontae George, Jared McCain, Peyton Watson, no, they can't take on any more money. Nikola Jovic, potentially. Like, I don't know. Let me come back to that one. Let me come back to that one. Let's just see who else is kind of around here. Nick Batum. Would the Clippers give up Nick Batum? Because Nick Batum was pretty damn good this last year. So I don't know if the Clippers would want to give him up for either Max Christie. As much as I'd love to have him and Cam on the same team, that'd be pretty cool. I don't think they need another guard like that, and they'd probably rather have him more than Najee or Caleb. So let's go. I lost my spot completely here. Where was I? I was here. Who else is just a little bit cheaper in salary? Jake LaRavia. Could I go get Jake LaRavia? Do the Kings necessarily want him? Would they rather have like a Max Christie? Potentially. I think I'd rather trade like Caleb if I was going to trade anybody on this team. I think that's kind of the guy I'd like to go. So I'm okay with going up to like 5 million. What about a Haywood Highsmith? Send Caleb back to the Heat? I don't know why the Heat would do that. They'd want to lose salary probably before anything else. I don't want to go up this high in money. Jet Howard. No, that's not necessarily what I'm thinking. Dario Saric, no, again, they can't take on more money, and I don't want Dario Saric on my team very much. Thank you. Let me take a look and see what I can find. Okay, so I've been doing some thinking actually for like 10-ish minutes now, and I'm wondering about Sadiq Bey. Now, Wizards fans, don't act like you're attached to this guy. You haven't seen him play at all. Interesting guy when he's been healthy. He hasn't really been healthy up to this point, right? And what I'm thinking is, for the sake of money and flexibility and wanting to keep us competitive if somebody becomes available, I wouldn't mind throwing Caleb Martin their way. They could use a little bit of help at that position as well. He's pretty cheap. Again, another veteran guy you can kind of put around all your young guys. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Bring a little Heat culture to the table, because like, where are the Wizards like kind of picking in this? By the way, let's just kind of run through the rest of this and kind of see what all happens, because like, who are some possible guys that the Wizards would pick up even in this draft? Because are they picking some sort of wing? Are they picking like a Trey Johnson potentially? I suppose so, and that could complicate things a little bit. You got Middleton, who knows if he stays on the team this year. Corey Kispert, he's going to be a big time trade candidate for someone. You got Koulibaly as well, but you already have Sadiq Bey, so you could just take Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin's just better, right? So just out of curiosity, they took VJ Edgecombe fell in this draft somehow. What Trey Johnson went fourth. Okay, so just ignore that. That's not happening. But I don't know. I don't think it's a huge deal for them. Like, can we attach something to it to maybe make it a little bit sexier? Like this second round pick? Can we put some protections on it? Like, we're going to say that this second round pick is like top 10 protected or something like that. So you potentially get another one. Send it over to the Wizards. You also get Caleb Martin, who again, I can't imagine Mavericks fans are too attached to. So sorry. We're doing this for the sake of financials and stuff. It's not necessarily strategy of on the court. It's strategy in the front office. So we take him back here. Here we go. That trade works. All right, very cool. So now Caleb Martin is Mr. Sadiq Bey. Somebody's going to call me Nico Harrison in this. I thought ahead of how the comments work. So let's move Mr. Bey over here. If he plays and he's solid still, then great. Cool. Now we just have to go through like actual free agency. Do we want to bring any of these other guys back? Just looking at like who's all here. I mean, I wouldn't mind bringing some of these dudes back, right? Like, do we need Kai Jones? We could bring Kai Jones back on a guaranteed one. I'd like to get a more veteran big than these two, so I'd like to look into that. By the way, how much space do we have? We only have 5 million, so we're really close still. We're really close. So Kai Jones might not be such a bad option because he hasn't been in the league that long. We've learned that we can't trust Spot Track's numbers with this. So how many years does Kai Jones have at this point? Yeah, it's just 2. Okay, yeah, let's just bring Kai Jones back. He's extremely talented and stuff, and we're just gonna keep helping him get mentally back to where he should be. So Kai Jones, and I don't have him on here. Here's Kai Jones. There we go. Very, very good. Let's give him the money that he's supposed to get. It's pretty cheap. So we still have $3.2 million to play with. We've got an extra center on the roster. That's cool. We have plenty between Anthony Davis and these two guys here. So we're doing good there. So again, we've got 3.2. So what is the most we could do here? The most we could do is a 7-year guy. And that'll help us avoid both aprons, which is absolutely nuts. Like, that is, you don't understand how big of a win that is to have all that flexibility and stuff. You can still use like your mid-level exceptions and stuff with that as well, which is which is big time. Okay, so who do we want? Spencer Dinwiddie and Dante Exum, probably not. What position do we want? We probably need like another shooting guard or something. Like, can we just add another shooter to the team? That's one thing when you look at this team. It's not stacked with shooters because you're not sure about Flag. You hope Marshall's going to be okay. You hope Christie will be okay. Klay Thompson. Kobe White, obviously really good. Brandon Williams can be good. Sears can be good. Davis can be good. Bay can be good. It's a lot of cans. Like, let's just try to find like an actual shooter to add to this. So let's go to all teams. Let's go to guard. Who do we want to add that's cheap in less than 7 years into the NBA, or 7 years or less? Nickeil Alexander-Walker, we can't afford him. Amir Coffey. That'd be a really cool one to add. I think he's going to want to go somewhere where he can play a little bit more, though. Eric Gordon, definitely not too many years in the NBA. Garrett Temple, way too many years in the NBA, right? Gary Trent, no. There's no way we're going to be able to get him. Taylor Horton-Tucker, no. It's not quite who we want. Landry Shamet is an option. Landry Shamet, like, let me go pull up Landry here, because that's the pure shooter that we're kind of talking about, right? Obviously the shooting is there. 6 years. Landry Shamet's the option, y'all. That's who we're going with for this one. So we get a 6-year guy right here. So we go back and throw Mr. Landry Shamet on here. We avoid the apron by 350K. By the way, both of these guys get here's what I'd like to do with Kai Jones. Actually, let's give him a team option with 2 years on this, just because somebody gives him a shot then, and then it's going to be a 1 year for Landry Shamet, and Landry Shamet can go right over here. Perfect. There we go. This is your 2025-2026 Dallas Mavericks. Wow, this is a lot better than y'all thought it was going to be when the season ended, huh? This is a lot better. So let's recap. What the hell did we just all do? Well, you first needed to address your point guard spot, and we did that. We're putting some faith in Brandon Williams. We got rid of Jaden Hardy, which I think is fine considering where we ended up salary cap space-wise. I hope you guys realize like how crazy it is that we maneuvered that in this video. That's a huge thing in this video, is the salary cap. We acquired Kobe White for 1 season, basically. Give him a test run, see what the hell happens. You know he's going to get some buckets. So you got a temporary fix at point guard for if and when Kyrie comes back. You're looking pretty good at the shooting guard spot. We didn't give up Max Christie, which is cool. Klay Thompson's still here. You had another shooter. We drafted Cooper Flag first overall. Had to get rid of Caleb to make some salary stuff work on this team. We still got Najee Marshall. We're going to see if Sadiq Bey's legs still work. Still got some young guys on the team that we're just kind of trying to figure out, and Maxence Prosper, but we've still got our awesome big man rotation here. I mean, like I said, just this lineup alone of like Flag, Davis, and Lively is insane. So like, I'm not tripping about Kobe White being an 11th percentile defensively, which I tend to agree with. That's where he falls into. But this is a 6'5 guard in and of itself, playing with somebody 6'6, 6'7, 6'9, 6'10, right? Like 6'11, like 7 foot. Like this is nuts, right? A lot of shot blocking around here, a lot of length, a lot of steals. This is pretty cool. Cooper Flag's got some good guys to learn from. And you know what? He's not the only rookie on the team, which is kind of nice. You got him and Mark Sears. So yeah, this is exciting times. You guys should have a bright future just between the like Flag and Derek Lively combo for a long time as well. Pretty exciting. And we didn't give up any first round picks. So pretty good. This might be one of my more favorite ones. I think this one turned out really, really good. But hey, this is where I turn it over to you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Leave me a comment down below, and yeah, let's move on to the comments of the video. All right, y'all, comment to the video is coming from our Jazz Ideal Offseason video. As always, go give all these videos a watch. I'm like the only person on YouTube doing stuff like this, so I think it's a cool series to kind of dive into. Also, go watch my Do They Fit in the NBA series videos, because they always get demonetized, but they're a ton of fun, and I really enjoyed doing them. But anyway, the comment to the video is coming from Murray Brock 7410. Said, personally, I think if Kasparis is the pick, the Jazz should work with the Raptors or Nets or Pelicans to move back, and they can still likely get him. I like the idea of working with Brooklyn to swap positions 21 and 19 and maybe grab a future swap. Maybe I'm just a delusional Jazz fan, though. First of all, I love when people like say things like this, like they try to make sure they're checking themselves and keep perspective of things. I just think that's such a good trait to have when you're like debating or looking at different perspectives. It's a great way to be like always learning. So I love that. And I know I don't think you're delusional. I actually responded it to you here. Like, I don't think that's out of the realm of the possibilities at all. Like, I do think that that's something to do. I think it gets tricky. Like in this draft, picks like 5 through 9. Like there's a couple players of really similar value. So trying to figure out who each team wants and trying to maneuver between those is kind of a thread the needle move, but it could work out really well. So I like the way you're thinking. I'm sure they're definitely thinking about that stuff. So great comment. I like the way you're thinking. That's really great stuff. As always, go leave me comments. As you see, I respond to every single one. I've got actually quite a bunch to get to right now, but I will get to them. I always do. As always, if you want access to the spreadsheet right here, it's really simple. Just go join the Discord. Link is right here. Click on the announcements channel and you'll see a link to download the sheet. It's completely free. But seriously, as always, I appreciate you guys. Please, for all the new viewers that are joining the channel, because the channel's going really fast right now, check out the rules of the comment section. I think it's important. I try to uphold a certain standard in these comments, and so I want people to engage with each other in real ways and try to have intellectual conversations. That's all I want. So I'm trying to make the internet a little bit better. But anyway, I appreciate you guys as always, and we'll talk later. Thanks so much. Bye.